Computer. And I keep backing up. There we go. Let's move forward. So we're talking today about the leaky gut solution. I apologize for my technical issues here. The importance of gut health. The gut, or the gastrointestinal system, is truly a gateway to overall health. There is not a system in the body that is not affected by it. The gut microbiome is an ecosystem of organisms, including bacteria, yeast, fungi, viruses, and protozoum throughout the entire digestive tract. Far beyond just digestive health, the following organ systems are also closely related to gut health. These include the immune system, the endocrine system, the nervous system, circulatory system, into the digestive tract, I'll say the easy word for it, the respiratory system, and the reproductive system. Just a few key points to consider. There are 10 times the amount of bacteria in our body than our own cells, and the majority of them are found within our digestive system. This system contains 90% of the body's happy hormone, serotonin. And most importantly, approximately 70% of our immune system is housed in our gut. As you can tell, gut health doesn't stop at digestion. The health of our gut affects nearly every system in our body. Now, let's go back a little bit and talk about each one of those. With the immune health, that is crucial to what is going on in our bodies. It's crucial to cancer, preventing cancer. It's crucial to preventing autoimmune disorders. It's crucial to just preventing or lessening the effects of the common flu. The endocrine system is our hormones. There's not a hormone out there that isn't affected by what's going on in our gut. The nervous system. Have you ever stopped to think that spinal stenosis is caused by leaky gut? Circulatory system. Our heart and our blood vessels. When we take in sugar or foods that are easily broken down into sugar, it's like a Brillo pad on the inside of our blood vessels. So that is certainly affecting our circulatory system. The digestive system. When you've got leaky gut, some days, and I'm just saying it like it is, you may have loose stools. Some days you may be totally in the opposite direction. When you've got leaky gut, you've got issues with your respiratory system. Do you have a runny nose? Do you have coughing? Do you have difficulty breathing? What about reproductive system? You know anybody who's got polycystic ovarian disease? That's all related. Leaky gut is a term, move to the next slide here, there we go. It's a term that refers to intestinal hyperpermeability. Now, what exactly does this mean? It means that the digestive tract is no longer able to ensure that the good stays in and the bad stays out. Instead, the tight junctions, or the proteins holding the intestinal walls together, have gotten inflamed and have started to separate. This leaves sizable gaps for undigested food particles, digestive fluids, and toxins to enter the bloodstream. The body reacts to these foreign proteins in the blood by producing immune antibodies or pro-inflammatory cells to fight them off. This breeds chronic inflammation, food allergies, and various health complications. Of course, there are no signs of improvement until the gut's permeability is addressed. Thank goodness we now have a better understanding of the causes, obstacles, and treatment methods for leaky gut, so there is a stop to the cycle. Now, what happens is when these proteins and these toxins and these other issues leak through between these cells, is our body recognizes that that is coming in to the body, because things are not considered to be inside the body until they have been absorbed from the digestive tract. As long as it's still in the digestive tract, it's still considered to be outside of the body. So as these things escape into the body between these cells, your body is developing antibodies, like I've already told you, to protect itself from the attack. When the protein from the particles that have gone between the cells is, when the body recognizes that as a protein and develops an antibody for it, that foreign protein may resemble your muscles, in which case the body may also attack your muscles, and thus you end up with fibromyalgia. If that foreign protein resembles the myelin sheath, then these antibodies in attacking these foreign proteins, may also attack the myelin sheath, thus causing multiple sclerosis. You can see where this is going, and it's like a snowball effect. So let's talk about what causes our gut to get leaky. Several factors have proven to negatively affect our gut's integrity. And the most prominent of these include the SAD diet, better known as the standard American diet, exposure to chemicals. Who does not put pesticides or something along that nature on food in the garden to protect the plants? Chronic infections, gluten and other grains, food allergies, excessive medications, poorly managed stress. Let me elaborate a little bit more on some of these from my own perspective. Exposure to chemicals. It has just recently dawned on me that my father, who had a huge garden when I was growing up, put 7 dust on everything out there very liberally. That was what he knew. Chronic infections. When I was growing up, I had repeated ear infections. And I had an aha moment when I was watching a webinar the other day, and the comment that I heard was that Cleocin, which is a very powerful antibiotic, it takes your gut bacteria 16 to 18 months to repair from one 10-day course of Cleocin. Needless to say, that was the antibiotic that was chosen for me because I couldn't take the penicillin derivatives, and I had digestive issues from the mycin antibiotics. Gluten and other grains. I remember when I was growing up, my favorite thing in the world was to sit down with a loaf of bread and eat a whole loaf of cinnamon toast, and it would be white bread, which has no nutritional value whatsoever. I had testing done for allergies back in the late 80s, and by the time they finished with the testing, my arms looked like railroad tracks, and majority of them were positive. Excessive medications. I already told you that I was on 18. All of the things that I have mentioned above are stress to the body. And being pretty much confined to the couch for 7 years, I'd say I wasn't managing it very well at all. let's talk about each of these. And I just went too far, excuse me. Let's start off with the SAD diet, or the standard American diet. Unfortunately, this is one of the leading causes of the chronic health issues we see today. According to a 2009 study conducted by the USDA, 63% of the calories Americans are consuming came from processed foods containing preservatives, refined grains, and added sugars and oils. It's almost as though the general public took it upon themselves to refigure the food pyramid to consist of grain at the base, dairy in the middle, and sugar at the top, when in all honesty, none of these foods have any business whatsoever being part of our diets at all. Food. Have you ever thought of it like that? You can call it what you want. Food, frankenfoods, food-like substances, fake food, but you most definitely can't cause most of what we eat today in our food supply real food. When the majority of our diets are packaged meals with paragraph-long ingredient lists and labels we can't understand, we are not eating real food. Here's a couple of alarming facts for you. The United States Food and Drug Administration, commonly known as the FDA, has approved approximately 3,000 different food additives, preservatives, and colorings without adequate research on safety. Did you know the average person ingests over 150 pounds of additives each year? The magnitude of these chemicals are allowed into our lives is totally unbelievable. We are becoming more and more aware of the consequences from this fake food lifestyle, and it is totally unacceptable. This is only one factor in the leaky gut epidemic, but definitely a significant one. Coming next, we will be discussing other factors responsible for the onset and progression of leaky gut. So let's move right on. Sick and inflamed. Inflammation is a vital immune response and is the body's attempt to defend itself against pathogens, to be able to heal from injury, and to be able to repair damaged tissue. Chronic inflammation, however, is not beneficial to our bodies in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it can worsen the body's ability to recognize foreign invaders and puts the body in a state of stress for extended periods of time. This can cause lasting damage, increased food allergies, and eventually autoimmunity, which is what I was dealing with. This type of inflammation can be caused by a number of things, but largely seen as a result of leaky gut syndrome and poor dietary habits. If chronic inflammation goes untreated, leaky gut is worsened, and the body ultimately loses its ability to repair from the damage. Well, I can tell you I found mine before it reached that point, and thank the good Lord I did. Gluten is the general term for a mix of proteins in many grains, such as wheat, barley, and rye. Gluten has found itself in much of our food supply, disguised in packaged foods and featured in most pre-prepared dishes. It is no surprise whatsoever that our consumption of gluten has increased immensely and our health is suffering for it. Gluten allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances are becoming increasingly more common. Gluten-free has become a buzzword within the health community, and people are finally beginning to explore how dangerous gluten can be for their health. You may ask just how dangerous it is. It makes your gut leaky. Simple as that. Zuulin, a protein which is found in gluten, increases the permeability of the gut, by further opening the spaces between cells. The antibodies normally released, which we've talked about as a result from leaky gut, are accompanied by more antibodies created to attack one of the gluten's more prominent building blocks, gliadin. This leads to more inflammation, more bodily confusion, and more health complications. In other words, your body reacts to the consumption of gluten by creating a defense mechanism to fight it. Once this damage has occurred within the digestive tract, it is then distributed throughout the entire body, which we've already talked about. I seem to be having some technical issues. There we go. Aside from contributing, if not entirely causing, the leaky gut, gluten increases the inflammation, the overall digestive distress, and alters the balance of our microbiome. Now, you may be wondering what microbiome means. It's the delicate balance of good and bad bacteria in our gut. Our microbiome must be equipped with sufficient healthy bacteria in order to be successfully carrying out its necessary functions. Without the proper balance of bacteria, the following functions can be disrupted: digestion, immune response, nutrient absorption, our hormone regulation, vitamin production, detoxification, mood management, and many, many more. What are the primary effects of gluten? Gluten produces both primary and secondary effects. The damage gluten causes that we have talked about thus far has mostly been the primary effects. These are intestinal hyperpermeability, better known as leaky gut, permeability of the blood-brain barrier. And I can't help but wonder if Alzheimer's is related in there somewhere, because Alzheimer's is caused by plaque in the brain. The onset of autoimmune disorders such as celiac disease, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis. The development of psychological disorders. They have found out that schizophrenia is a vitamin deficiency, is related to a vitamin deficiency. The dysbiosis or abnormal bacteria growth. Stop and think for a minute. When we take a course of antibiotics, not only do the antibiotics kill the bacteria that they are targeting, but they also kill out a lot of the good bacteria that we don't want killed out. This throws off the check and balance system and allows the bad bacteria to grow totally out of control. Acute allergic or IgE responses, and also a delayed antibody response. While all of these issues are very serious within themselves, they also can cause further complications. Next, we will talk about the secondary effects of gluten. Let me see if I can get this slide right. There we go, hot dog. The secondary effects include severe nutrient deficiencies, such as iron and vitamin B12, systemic inflammation leading to organ and tissue breakdown. It may seem to be a bit redundant. We keep coming back to how your body acts on gluten, but this is one of the most important pieces of information you can take from this class. Gluten is a major component in the leaky gut cycle. It is present in the onset, the maintenance, and the progression of this damaging condition, and it should not be taken lightly. So let's move on and talk about gluten's path to disease. Excuse me. As you've probably guessed by now, gluten's path to disease is pretty direct. The first step is when gluten's contribution goes unnoticed, which is where I was. At this point, it is likely that there are little to no known symptoms. This is where most people will assume that gluten won't hurt them and therefore can eat it no problem. Unfortunately, the lack of apparent symptoms does not mean that gluten doesn't hurt your gut. In fact, it takes exposure over time and the accumulation of damage before leaky gut will be noticeable. For those cutting out gluten before they feel any physical discomfort, they are still treating an underlying issue, even if they can't quite feel it yet. The next step is the progression to subclinical problems. This is where leaky gut truly begins to develop. Often the first things that will be noticed is increased food and environmental allergies. I've already told you that started with me back in the late 80s. Digestive distress may begin to become more frequent. Unfortunately, it is common for people to still avoid blaming gluten for their discomfort. The last step is recognizing the problem. However, it is not usually recognizing gluten as the problem, but the acknowledgement of the problem that gluten has caused. For example, if someone is diagnosed with a chronic disease or develops inflammatory changes, most medical doctors will begin treating these conditions rather than looking for what's causing the problem to begin with. The shame when this happens so often is if gluten was recognized as the main problem during the early stages, then a lot of these health issues could be totally avoided. Gluten, however, is not the only concern when it comes to solving leaky gut. We will be going over those other issues that contribute to this dangerous syndrome. Let's move on to the next one. Say no to pesticides. I've already talked to you about my exposure to 7-dust when I was growing up. Much like the additives and preservatives flooding our food supply, pesticides are also a huge part of what's on our plates. There are 3 million tons of pesticides used worldwide each year, and more than 16,000 chemicals involved in the production of these pesticides. Studies to ensure their safety on humans have been very limited, whereas some have no documented research at all. While we are not entirely sure of their safety on human health, we do recognize strong links between pesticide exposure and nervous system disorders, immune system suppression, reproductive damage, hormonal imbalances, thyroid issues, type 2 diabetes, obesity, asthma, migraine headaches, attention disorders, and developmental delays in children. The magnitude that pesticides, along with the steroids, hormones, antibiotics, and excitotoxins show up in our food supply is truly frightening. And to think it isn't a main component of our leaky gut trend, that is just simply impossible. Going on to this, no more drugs. I've already told you how I was on 18 prescriptions and how I know now a lot of those prescriptions were for side effects of other prescriptions. Medication is severely overprescribed in the current medical model used today. Medical programs train doctors to medicate symptoms even when they are unsure of the cause. This, in the short term, has seemed to work because the patients experience temporary relief from their discomfort. But what isn't taken into account is how these prescriptions have affected our bodies. Did you know, for example, that statins, drugs which are used to lower cholesterol, have been shown to lower vitamin D and CoQ10 levels? Vitamin D is crucial if you have leaky gut. Extremely important to get that level where it needs to be. While the statins may be lowering cholesterol, it is simultaneously causing nutrient deficiencies, muscle fatigue, increased blood pressure, and weakened immunity. Painkillers like ibuprofen, naproxen, and aspirin contribute to vitamin C and iron deficiencies, leaving one vulnerable to disease and eroding the mucosal lining of the stomach. Acid reduction medications, I was on a boatload of those, hinder the digestion of protein, calcium, and vitamin B12, often causing chronic pain problems. What I did not tell you was that I had a hiatal hernia, and I ended up with 30% of my stomach up in the chest cavity from using all of those acid-blocking drugs. Long-term use of antidepressants, too, significantly decrease the gut's motility and cause digestive issues. Lastly, it's important to note that almost all medications are unable to differentiate between the good bacteria in our gut and the illness it is trying to attack. This results in an altered microbiome and a much greater risk of infections. As you can tell, drugs offer a lot of unintended consequences that can affect our health very badly. There are very few situations where drugs should be your solution, such as a life-threatening infection or a surgical situation. Without the immediate emergency needs of medication, it is best to treat the issue than it is to temporarily patch the problem. So what are the 5 critical elements of healthy gut function? Excuse me. Our gut has 5 critical elements or defenses that it truly needs for healthy gut function. In order from the most outer layer of defense, they include mucosal IgA, otherwise known as immunoglobulin A. This antibody found in the mucous membranes of your gut is considered your gut's first line of defense against toxins. Tight junctions. These are small proteins that are responsible for holding the gut's cells together. This is what is mostly directly related with leaky gut. Gastro-associated lymphoid tissue, otherwise called GALT. This is the gut's concentrated immune system, and in fact, 70% of our immune system altogether. This is the gut's last and most powerful layer of defense. The gut's accessory defenses include friendly bacteria, which we've already talked about. As we mentioned, we have more bacteria in our bodies than we do our own cells. This bacteria can communicate with the GALT, warning it of potential danger. Stomach acid. This is absolutely essential for the digestion, absorption of nutrients, and defense against infections. If there is any dysfunction throughout your gut's line of defense, these 5 primary barriers need to be evaluated in order to heal and be treated properly. Just some of the acid blockers that I was on were Tagamet, Zantac, Prilosec, Nexium, and these totally shut down my body's ability to produce digestive enzymes. I am having to take digestive enzymes now so that I am able to break my food down and absorb it into my system. So I want you to stop and think for a minute. If you were to put a container of food, plastic container with a lid on it, outside in the sun during the hottest part of the day, what do you think is going to happen to that lid? Stop and think. As the food starts to break down in that heat, I'd be willing to bet the lid on that container is going to start doming up. Same thing happens in our stomachs. If we do not have the digestive enzymes to break the food down, our body temperature is 98.6. So the food is going to start breaking down, rotting. Our stomach is going to start doming up, and that is what causes hiatal hernias. That dome just pushes right on up through the diaphragm. If I had known then what I know now, none of that would have ever happened. So what do we do to heal leaky gut? The first step is ruling out the fundamental causes. It's important to recognize that it is very rarely only one cause, but a combination of several causing the damage. You must first rule out or begin to recognize the following. Do you have any vitamin deficiencies? Do you have any issues with infectious pathogens? Do you have any heavy metal toxicity? Do you have any silver amalgam fillings in your mouth? That can cause a heavy metal toxicity. Are you having gluten sensitivity? Are you having any environmental allergies? The environmental allergies you can find out via skin or blood tests. I have done a gene SNP test, and it showed me that I had gene variations, excuse me, that did not allow me to convert B vitamins from the foods that I ate into a format that my body was readily able to use. I had 7 silver amalgam fillings in my mouth. Plus, I had some silver amalgam under a crown that I had. They have all now been removed. All of these things can be determined. The gene SNP test that I took, it was just a simple matter of taking a swab on the inside of my cheek, sending it off to be evaluated. When it came back, it told me where my gene variations were, what I needed to be aware of. It told me that I had a terrible time getting rid of toxins from my body, thus the leaky gut. It told me what foods I needed to eat in order to heal my body. It told me what supplements I needed to take in order to support my body during the healing process. It was just totally phenomenal. If any of these tests that we've talked about for the vitamin deficiency or the infectious pathogens or the heavy metal, the gluten sensitivity, the environmental allergies, if any of those come back positive, you have your first step of instructions. Address the deficiencies, implement dietary changes, limit exposure to allergens, and consider what detoxification methods are best for you. Once you have a better understanding of your body's unique needs, you can begin the formal functional medicine protocol, commonly known as the 4 R's. So let's talk about the 4 R's a little bit. This program is administered to help you heal from digestive distress, reverse gut complications, and rebalance your gastrointestinal microbiome. It is an incredible tool to acknowledge and treat health issues, dysfunctions, imbalances, and personal health needs. It is done in the following order. The first step is to remove. What this means is that you eliminate problem foods, you eliminate toxins by going organic, you eliminate low-grade infections and oxidative stress. When I say oxidative stress, how many of us have taken a big, deep breath in? I'd be willing to bet it's a lot. Every time we do that, we are breathing in the same things that are causing rust on shovels. Rust on shovels has caused oxidative stress. So we are breathing in the same things that cause that, and in turn causing oxidative stress within our bodies. The next step is to repair. We begin by reintroducing a clean diet with essential nutrients that your body needs. I've already talked to you about eating organic. I've already talked to you about the gene snip, which told me exactly what foods I needed to eat to help my body along in the healing process. The third step is to restore. You want to repopulate your gut with healthy bacteria to restore the proper balance of gut flora. And what you want to make sure that you do here is you want to make sure that the probiotic that you get, the one that I currently take, has a protective coating on it that protects it through the stomach juices and allows it to get to the place in the gut where it will be of the most benefit. Last but certainly not least, you want to replace digestive enzymes, antioxidants, and immune-boosting vitamins to promote a sustainable and healthy digestion. I am trained in this protocol. If there's anything, in addition to having walked the protocol and experienced the protocol myself, and if there's anything that I can do to help you with this, I'm here for you in any way, shape, or form. And if I don't know the answer, I freely admit that I don't know the answer, and I know where I can go to find the answer, as I work with a doctor of naturopathy very closely. So by this point in time, you may have already removed things that you already knew were to be detrimental to your health, such as gluten and known allergies. But you'll also want to remove much of the chemical burden in your daily life. This includes pesticides on foods, genetically modified organisms, unnecessary medications, unnatural household cleaners. It's amazing what can cause issues for us, isn't it? Let me back up one. There we go. So once you have an understanding of what should be removed from your daily life and you have begun to implement those changes, it's time then to begin repairing the damage that had previously been done. This is done by calming the chronic inflammation and reintroducing the nutritious foods, the digestive enzymes, the probiotics, the essential fiber, the vitamins, minerals, and acids. For some people, these steps may mean implementing intermittent fasting, supplementation, or personalized diet plans that are specific to their own health needs. Please be sure to consult with someone to make sure that you are beginning the most appropriate repair route for your individual needs. Let's talk a little bit about supplements. Nutrients must have got to be replaced for effective healing. While everyone's needs are highly individualized, here are some common supplements that have been proven to be helpful in the gut healing process. The probiotics, which, as we've talked about, is replacing the good bacteria. The prebiotics, that helps to feed the good bacteria that is already present in your gut. Digestive enzymes, allowing your body and assisting your body in the process of breaking down the food that you eat so that your body is able to absorb it into the body. Fiber. Did you know that your body is requiring 25 grams of fiber on a daily basis to be able to move all of the excess that it can't absorb through your system? Not many people get that. Collagen. Collagen is important for the reformation of the gut cells. Turmeric. You ever heard of turmeric? It's found in a lot of Indian foods. Looking for one that is a beautiful color of yellow. L-glutamine. I take That with every single meal, I take 850 milligrams times 4 at every single meal. These are only suggestions. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not able to prescribe these to you without evaluating your needs. However, I can discuss with you what the benefits are, and then I can assist you in making decisions. However, a main takeaway from this is that you should not rely solely on supplements. Yes, they can be used to help your healing process, but the goal is to be able to sustain wellness with whole foods and healthy lifestyle choices long term, without the need for piles of pills. The most difficult part of our health is maintaining it. Even if you build a strong foundation during the healing process, without the proper diet, lifestyle choices, and stress management long term, you can fall right back into the same gut-destroying patterns. Been there, done that, no fun. Remember, health is a journey, not a destination. Although there is plenty of research on the dangers of leaky gut, it is still considered a medical mystery. So many cases go undiagnosed and in turn not properly treated. So it is crucial to work with someone familiar with the condition and who will help you on your journey. Always start with the fundamentals, honor your body's unique needs, and skip the guesswork. I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do to help you on your journey to improved health, I want to thank you for taking the time to experience the class with me. I love sharing this topic with people who are eager to transform their health, and y'all have just been fantastic. If you have any further questions, please let me know. You can inbox me, send me an email. It's Coach Kathy at getbalancedforlife.me, and I will be more than happy to address your concerns. Please remember that I am always here to support you. Just as a side note, the class that I teach teaches you how to eat to reduce inflammation in your body. It teaches you how to heal your body. The next class I've got starting up online is September the 16th. If you are interested in that class, let me know as soon as possible, because the deadline for registration is Friday of next week. So I look forward to helping you on your journey to health. And in the meantime, have an absolutely awesome day. Thank you. Bye-bye.